once again, and if you don't know already, I'm Florence, and just now I'm going to be giving an overview of what was said at the 2-hour live stream from CERN this morning about the Higgs Boson. Okay, that's enough of that, and I'm going to be giving an overview about what all of you are wanting to hear about first, followed by more detail as I go along. And there are links in the description down below about some videos that I recommend that you check out before you watch the more information that I'm going to be talking about later. And I'm not going to be describing what the Higgs Boson is in this video either, that's in the links below as well. Now, they've been looking for the Higgs Boson for quite some time now, but why have they been looking? Now, it's because that the Higgs Boson is predicted by the standard model of particle physics. And if the Higgs Boson has been found, that helps to validate the standard model of particle physics, which means that we understand more about the universe and how it all works. Okay, so basically what they've been doing at CERN is they have something that I'm sure you've all heard of, the Large Hadron Collider, and attached to that collider there are two sensors, ATLAS and CMS. And these two gigantic sensors monitor the collisions that occur in the Large Hadron Collider. And I'm going to be referring to things as events, and these events are basically things colliding and then forming other things in layman's terms. Now, in their data there are many background events, basically meaning that there are many events that don't really matter, that they don't want to see but they're stuck with anyway, because they are happening inside the detector when the collision happens. They are not the ones that you're looking for, but they're there anyway. And these background events have been masking the signal from the Higgs Boson, basically meaning that it's easier to pick out just one signal out of two, say, than one signal out of 1,000. But at a mass of about 125.5 gigaelectron volts, there's a peak that stands out of the data. And when looking at this peak and comparing it to the background events, they can see that the probability of the background events just by chance causing this peak is enough to say at 5 sigma confidence level that this is not just the background events, this is a new particle. A particle that has never been discovered before. And when I say 5 sigma confidence level, I'm basically saying that it's a 1 in a million chance that they are wrong. And 5 sigma tends to be defined as a discovery. And so far, the data that they've collected seems to be fairly consistent with the standard model's prediction of the Higgs Boson. At the press conference that occurred afterwards, when Rolf Hewer was asked if they have found the Higgs Boson, he responded with, "As a layman, I'd say we have it, but as a scientist, I'd have to say that we've found something. We have a boson." Basically, overall, it's a guarantee that they have found a new particle, and that that new particle is a boson. But if you watch my video in the description down below, you'd know that a boson is just a part of a field, and it doesn't specifically have to be a Higgs boson. But it does certainly look like it's a Higgs boson due to things such as the decay modes, which I'm going to be talking about shortly. But they plan to be getting more data about this over the next few months from the Large Hadron Collider, and that's in the hope that they can get more details about the physical properties of the boson as they can. And later in July, ATLAS and CMS will be releasing papers about their findings. But for now, I'm going to be going up there to talk about the mechanisms that they used in order to work out where this Higgs boson could be. You can see up here that I've drawn a couple of Feynman diagrams, and if you aren't sure what those are, I really do suggest that you click the link down below about Feynman diagrams. But for now, let's talk about them all individually. This top one is called gluon pair production, and it's not the best technique that's used for finding the Higgs boson, but it is one of the major ones nevertheless. Basically what happens is these two gluons interact and they form what's called a top quark loop. Those two quarks annihilate and form the Higgs boson. But since we can't observe the Higgs boson directly, it needs to decay, and what it decays into is two W bosons. Those W bosons are things that are responsible for the weak force, if you don't know, and if you don't know, you should have clicked that link down in the description. And those two W bosons form a lepton or its antipart, and a neutrino of that lepton or its antipart, depending which of these it comes off, whether it's the positively charged W boson or the negatively charged W boson, and you may see physicists refer to that as H to LV-LV. Basically meaning that the Higgs boson decays into a lepton, its neutrino, and another lepton and its neutrino. This next one tends to be better at distinguishing the Higgs boson because it's more clear when the decay products are produced, and only one neutrino is formed as opposed to two earlier, and the neutrinos cannot be measured themselves as they interact so weakly with matter. And also some of the final products are bottom quarks, which are much heavier than leptons, so much more easily measured. Basically what happens in this case is a quark and its antipart annihilate together and they form a high-energy W boson, and that then goes to form a W boson and the Higgs boson. The W boson forms a lepton and its antipart neutrino, and the Higgs boson forms two bottom quarks. And it's much easier to work out the mass of the Higgs boson from this because the only things that come out of it are the two bottom quarks. And you may hear physicists talk about this as WHLVBB bar. basically saying that a weak boson and the Higgs boson are formed together. The weak boson then decays into a lepton and its antipart neutrino, and the Higgs boson decays into a bottom quark and another anti-bottom quark. The final one I'm going to be talking about is when two leptons annihilate together and form a weak boson. The weak boson then forms a Z boson and a Higgs boson. The Z boson forms a lepton-anti-lepton pair, and the Higgs boson forms a bottom quark anti-bottom quark pair. You may hear this one referred to as ZH to L bar BB bar. And all of these, as well as Higgs diphoton production, basically when two photons are produced from the Higgs boson when it decays, are all used when monitoring the data measured from the Large Hadron Collider. The W and Z are some of the ideal ones to use because they don't have neutrinos as an end product, so that the mass can be reconstructed when they use ATLAS and CMS to measure where the quarks and leptons are going after the collision, and they can trace it back to find where each of the events came from, and from that they can reconstruct the mass of the Higgs boson. For high mass, the WW or ZZ Higgs decay mechanisms are the best to use, and they're actually fairly good throughout the board of all masses. However, when it's at a lower mass, it tends to be quite good to use BB bar. Both of these are examples of that. I realise I've been talking for a fairly long time now, so I'll finish off with this. When graphs like this came up on the screen, there was a loud cheer and applause from all of the people that were watching in the room at the time. And what this rather crude sketch of the graph shows is that at about 125 gigaelectron volts, there is an event or series of events that is very, very unlikely to be caused by the fluctuation of the background events to an extent of 5 sigma, and also that it mostly agrees with the standard model prediction. Now, if you actually want to own any of the presentations made at the CERN announcements, I've included links below to somewhere that you can download them all, so that you can have an actual flick through. I was expecting to be able to condense 2 hours of talking to less than this, but apparently I was far from able to do that. But I think I've got the basics across. But otherwise, if you want to leave any comments, do so. If you like this video, leave a like. If you want to see more of this sort of stuff, or what is videos, or keep up with the physics news that's interesting like this, click a subscribe up there, and I will see you next time.